Hello everyone, I'm Gareth Smith and today I'm joined by another very special guest. I'm joined by the EVP of the UFL, Daryl Johnston. How are you doing?
Great. A lot of initials there, right?
Yeah, there is. Obviously, UFL, exciting times for the UFL. Obviously, the new home has officially been announced.
Mm-hmm.
How pleased are you to finally get that all confirmed?
It's amazing to really kind of take a look at where we were 4 years ago, Legacy USFL, and then Russ Brandon and Legacy XFL, 2 years ago, and where we're going to be going into the season 2 for the UFL. So, when you walk in, one of the things I want to see is our players' faces when they walk in, because this is such an upgrade from what we've had, and we really want to focus on making the day-to-day experience of our players as positive as it can possibly be, and this really kind of sets that trend for us, because we did get a little bit of feedback from the guys last year about meeting spaces, travel time, different things like that kind of made the day a little bit challenging. This is going to make that a little bit easier for them. We're still a little bit nomadic in our day-to-day, but this will make it a little bit better. So really the guys for sure.
And it was an interesting challenge, obviously, to basically merge two leagues that were very separate, also had very different fan bases. There was also a bit of rivalry between the XFL fans and the UFL fans, because you used to see on things like Reddit or on Twitter, there was some genuine hate from one league to the other. How did you try and get over that? To be fair, was it like AFC, NFC? There should always be an element of not liking each other.
I think that's a great point. There's always going to be rivalry in football, whether it's within the division, within the conference, or within the league. So when you have two teams that are up, and you can fan those flames a little bit with your players as they go back and forth. So once we started to overlap a little bit in the first season that we were separated, it was funny to see some of the banter going back and forth. But I'm very happy that the cooler heads prevailed, and that management from both of the leagues, sat back and recognized the best thing for spring football moving forward is for us to come together. And if we were to stand there toe to toe and fight it out to see who was the last league standing, it wouldn't do any good for anybody. So the fact that the powers to be came together and said, let's get this merger in place. Let's move forward with as strong as we can possibly be in the spring model. And I think that once we consolidated and we became family, I think that kind of tampered down a little bit of that rivalry between. Now there was some in the beginning last year because we did stay USFL and XFL conferences, so we left a little bit of that there. That's something that we're looking at potentially change and really just embrace the UFL and the fresh start, because we want to keep rearview mirror of the division between the league, into the conferences. The fan bases can still have that, right? If you're an XFL fan and you feel that your side is superior, that's great. Because to your point, that's healthy in sports. But for us as a business, it's not. So the more that we can focus on bringing the UFL together totally, as opposed to leaving a few of those kind of remnants behind us that still have a tie back to Legacy USFL and Legacy XFL, we'd like to kind of move away from that.
Yeah, completely agree. And obviously it's interesting. Obviously, Birmingham were a juggernaut coming into this, and they carried on being that way. Is there any team that you think this year would you want to see Birmingham retain, or would we like to try and see instead of be a back-to-back-to-back?
Yeah, right.
We want someone different to win it this year. We don't want a 4-peat or anything like that. So, is there any team that I can't probably ask you which team you'd root for, but is there any team you could see that could challenge them this season?
Yeah, I'm here cheering against Kansas City going 3-peat, so we got Birmingham ready for a 4-peat next year. I can tell you right now that there's some things that are there that could make this interesting. I think one of the great things about Birmingham and why they've always had success is the quarterback position and how they've always got that one dialed in, and the relationship between whatever the starting quarterback is, because they have different ones every year, along with Skip Holtz. So Adrian Martinez is not coming back. Matt Corral will be coming back. Alex Magoo will be coming back from the Green Bay Packers. So that'll be some positives for Birmingham. But there's a lot of change from year to year with our loss. It's kind of the thing you love, but the thing that's challenging is we want our guys to have the opportunity to go back into the NFL and stay there for a couple of years. But that makes it harder on us replacing those players on the backside of the UFL. So teams that in the offseason this year that I think you really need to keep an eye on, Steve Kaiser and Mike Nolan up in Michigan have done a really nice job again in this past offseason. So they went from 1 year together going 4-6 to last year together going 7-3. And now this year, just watching what they're doing in the offseason, you can see kind of a real cohesive movement in a specific direction. And I think they've got everybody rowing in the right spots. The other one is St. Louis. St. Louis, I think, was a team that was, it's phenomenal. I mean, just for our guys to be able to go into a stadium and get 30,000 people in there is awesome. And and then Michigan's the other one. That's the home of the Detroit Lions. So you get to walk in there. It's got the big game. So those are two environments that are just really, really special in our league. But St. Louis has moved on from A.J. McCarron, but Max Duggins is coming to the UFL, and Max is going to be one of the quarterbacks going to camp. But they've had a couple of other moves. They've got a lot of their key players back, but they've added some other people that are going to be fun to watch this year. So but let's keep it on as Birmingham goes for their fourth consecutive championship.
And obviously there's some more exciting news early on this off-season talking about potential expansion. How excited are you to see these teams potentially grow from being the 8 teams we have now to being 10, 12, as it expands further?
Yeah, I think the big thing for us there is to make sure that we don't grow to a point where we can't have the talent to support the teams. And I think that's one of the things that a lot of people wonder about the NFL. Are there truly 32 starting quarterbacks available for all these teams, to play at a high elite championship level. It is, you look at the playoffs, you look at the teams that perform well year in, year out, they've got that quarterback position sorted out. Can we expand down at our level to a certain point where we've watered down the quarterback spot? We've really watered down the offensive line positions. So we have to be careful, but I think it's another way for us to show everybody that we are sustainable. We're going to be here for a long time. You can have trust and faith, and there will be spring football. So we have, progressed further down that road. We are looking at some different cities, not just geographically, friendly to us. We've got 3 teams in Texas. You don't have to be congregated down in the Southwest. We do have Michigan, we do have DC, so we do like to get our franchises out and about. So it's going to be interesting. The cities that have kind of sent in some initial inquiries as to what the opportunities are going to be and presenting some of their information are very different. They're very varied. They're across the country, and the list was a little bit long. So there is interest from cities across the United States that would like to be a part of our expansion when the time comes.
It should be quality. Obviously, more footballers. Obviously, you said there's going to be the right quality player, the right quality. Because the last new one as well. Obviously, there's some of the. I think obviously when you look at the XFL, for example, the attendances up to the likes of the Las Vegas team obviously is never as quite where I think the league wanted it to be. So it's all about making sure you get those kind of things as well. So important. I think another thing that's quite interesting is the NFL seem to be liking a few of the ideas you're doing in regards to rule situation. So a classic case is the rule that the kick return rule that has been brought into the NFL is very much like the kick return originally in the previous league in the XFL.
Yeah.
So is there any rule that you wish the NFL would look to deploy within their own game?
I just wish that there was a way for them. We have to look at pace of play. That's one of the big things for us. And how do we increase pace of play and get it moving? I think the one that I like, it's kind of a mix of the college rule where, defensive pass interference is a 15-yard penalty unless it was, restrictive. It's you got beat on a double move and you just tackle the guy. Okay, that's going to be a spot foul. I just see too many momentum shifting plays based on a defensive pass interference call that ends up being a 45, 50-yard penalty. That was because the quarterback didn't execute the play well. It's an underthrown long ball, and the receiver's trying to fight back through the defender's body.
This way,
and then you get it. Yeah. So I like ours where that would be a 15-yard penalty. Yeah, he definitely impeded him from making the catch, but there's a little bit of responsibility on the offensive side as well. So I like our pass interference. Our game. I also like our super challenge.
Yeah, I love that.
Where you can challenge any play during the course of the game, but it has to be specific. You can't just throw the flag down and say, I want to challenge that play. You have to throw the flag down and say, I want to challenge that play. I think the right tackle moved early.
Yes.
We had a couple of games last year that shifted because of that, and it was something that the XFL had that we didn't have in the USFL.
Yeah.
We were more traditional to the NFL style. And we used it last year, and we saw 2 coaches use it really, really well, and ended up winning games by using the Super Challenge. So we may, as we go through our rules for season 2025, we may even look to give them one more. If you're successful with the first one, we will give you one more, because what we saw was the coaches holding back. and waiting till the end of the game, because that's when it's going to be critically important. But you missed a chance in that first half on one that maybe doesn't tip the side of the game. But boy, that would have been a big opportunity for you to grab some of that momentum back.
And obviously for me, I like it as well. It's pretty true as well, where it's like, because obviously the one thing this day and age, the onside kick is ridiculously impossible to do nowadays. Like the current the 4 for 15, 4 for 12. That I love. I quite like that because at the end of the day, that is a very high risk, high reward. If you get that, fantastic. If you don't get that, you've lost. It's a bit like the kick return, the onside kick anyway. So I think that would be another rule that I would personally like to see, because if you can go down the field, score, get ball back, go down the field and score again, the momentum, that defense be on the back heels there, and that could be a hell of a fourth quarter where it suddenly goes from a team being multiple scores down. Again, I think it's really impactful. That's something I'm a personal fan of as well. But no, obviously we're really pleased that franchise tag you are back again this coming year. Obviously fans, make sure you do check it out and make sure you actually get your tickets as well. You can tell us where we get tickets from.
UFL.com.
Yeah,
absolutely. And then we start March 28th. We have a Friday night football package on Fox this season. So they've done college football in the fall, they've done basketball, winter, spring. So they're going to roll that and keep that going right into spring football season. So every Friday night through a regular season will be on Fox, and then 74% of the games will be on either Fox or ABC. So you won't have to go to FS1. You won't have to drop down into ESPN, which I know is an issue with everybody over in the UK. So hopefully we get an opportunity for everybody to get some eyes on the UFL.
Obviously, we're hoping we can get into the UK as well, because more football is obviously great. As you know, the football market in the UK is one that grows year on year on year. So more football is obviously going to be good for us all involved. But no, thank you very much for your time today. Do truly appreciate it. And everyone at home, make sure you do check it out. And we'll be back soon with another very special guest.